Mom?
Yesterday.
What have I screamed?
Hey, what, Booty? Don't do that to it, no. That's horrible, that's horrible. Trina, hey girl, hey. Lane, hey girl, hey. Buttons keep rotating. Alright. Alicia. To the baby. Hold on a second, okay? Top of the day, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday. Bella, chill out, okay? I got you. Hold on. Morn. Shalom, shalom. Uncle James Brown, Belinda Brown. Bella, come here. Great rising, great rising. All right, I'm bring this shimmer up here. Let me see it, Tootie.
It's so hard.
Okay, let's see. You need to get something to... Maybe it's something to drive. Let me see it. All right, beautiful people.
Josh opened it last time.
Hop down. Well, pop this open. So pop. All right, beautiful people. Get this iPad case over here for her. Hop down, sweetie.
There's actually water in it.
Yeah. I don't know how that... I don't know what you did, but whatever you did, you better not do no more. I'm gonna put it up. I'm glad I got this case on it, but somehow water got down in the case.
Yeah.
Let me see. Stop. All right, beautiful people. Here we go. Happy Wednesday.
I want to see Mommy.
Sorry, y'all. She would come ask me to do this right after I can press, what you call it? Press record. I'm sorry, but this thing is, it's like them OtterBox cases. This thing is, every time I hate having to open it. I gotta pry it open every time. It's a good case, but there's a little crack on the seal of it, and I think she spilled her water on it, and it got under the screen protector, and it won't let you press the numbers. Alright, you need to go get a rag. Alright, go get a rag. Hop down. See that? Right there? Get that. Give me that. Let me just wipe it off for you. Right there on the stove. Right there. Alright, beautiful people. Right there. The towel, Bella. While you're looking, the black towel hanging right there. Yes, right there. Thank you. Go ahead. Be careful. Go ahead and wipe it off. You don't have to put the case back on it yet. I'll put the case on. Just wipe it. Oh, shoot. That's a crack on the screen. Y'all. Okay, we'll deal with that in a minute. Anyway. No, I ain't buying you a new one. It is Wednesday, March the 3rd, 2021, day 92 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 761. Guys, we are in Joshua 7, 8, and 9 today, and once we get done with that, we'll hop over to the Legends of the Jews and pick up where we left off at yesterday on page 361. Be careful. Don't run your hand all the way across that. Okay. Alright, y'all. So, Bella, wipe it off. I'm already did. Okay. Alright, y'all. So, let's do the Shema, which is found in Deuteronomy chapter, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 3. What does she know about well, actually? That's her favorite little phrase now. Well, actually, hallelujah, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our God, He is one God. And you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. And you shall talk with them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall bind them for a sign upon and you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God as He has commanded us. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and hop on over here to, you guys see, Book of Joshua, chapter 7. Ai defeats the Israelites. All right, y'all, here we go. Okay. But Israel violated the instructions about the things set apart for Yahuwah. A man named Achan had stole some of these dedicated things, so Yahuwah was very angry with the Israelites. Achan was the son of Carmi, a descendant of Zimri, son of Zerah, of the tribe of Judah. Joshua sent some of his men from Jericho to spy out the towns of Ai, east of Bethel, near Beth-aven. When they returned, they told Joshua, "There is no need for all of us to go up there. It won't take more than 2,000 or 3,000 men to attack Ai. Since there are so few of them, don't make all of our people struggle to go up there." So approximately 3,000 warriors were sent, but they were soundly defeated. Now, real quick, it said 3,000 warriors were sent. Remember, these are the same men and women and children, but not the women and children that were going to fight. It was the men, these same warriors who had just come out of the bondage of Egypt, right? There are warriors among our people, but Yahuwah did not christen them so until He brought them out of Egypt, right? They were warriors while they were in there, but they were powerless to do anything because Yahuwah was not yet standing with them again. But when we remember that our mighty one is here and He backs us up, everybody better watch out. So approximately 3,000 warriors were sent, but they were soundly defeated. The men of Ai chased the Israelites from the town gate as far as the quarries, and they killed about 36 who were retreating down the slope. The Israelites were paralyzed with fear at this turn of events, and their courage melted away. Joshua and the elders of Israel tore their clothing in dismay, threw dust on their heads, and bowed face down to the ground before the ark of Yahuwah until evening. Then Joshua cried out, "O sovereign Lord, why did you bring us across the Jordan River if you're going to let the Amorites kill us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side. Lord, what can I say now that Israel has fled from its enemies? For when the Canaanites and all the other people living in the land hear about it, they will surround us and wipe our name off the face of the earth. And then what will happen to the honor of your great name? And then what will happen to the honor of your great name?" But Yahuwah said to Joshua, "Get up. Why are you lying on your face like this? Israel has sinned and broken my covenant. They have stolen some of the things that I have commanded must be set apart for me. And they have not only stolen them, but have lied about it and hidden the things among their own belongings. This is why the Israelites are running from their enemies in defeat. For now Israel itself had been set apart for destruction. I will not remain with you any longer unless you destroy the things among you that were set apart for destruction. Oh, that we had a magnifying system, a bullhorn, to blow it as loud as we can, yelling to our people to the four corners of the earth to put away the set apart thing from us and the defiled thing, right? Then Yahuwah would surely immediately stand up for us again. But Israel going to get it real soon. Israel is going to realize this as we begin to see Yahuwah work for us and fight for us again, right? Because he said, I am going to judge all the nations who have held you captive, right? Although he sent us into captivity because of us turning away from him, he said he would deal with those nations who held us captive because they went over and beyond what he told them to do to us. They were only to put us to hard bondage, hard labor. And he said, those that I tell you to kill, you kill. But those that I tell you save alive, you better not touch a hair on their head or nothing that belongs to them. Right? They didn't quite follow those rules Yahuwah had set out for our bondage. So they got it coming. I will not remain with you any longer unless you destroy the things among you that were set apart for destruction. Get up. Command the people to purify themselves in preparation for tomorrow. For this is what Yahuwah, the God of Israel, says. Hidden among you, O Israel, are things set apart for Yahuwah. You will never defeat your enemies until you remove these things from among you. In the morning, you must present yourselves by tribe, and Yahuwah will point out the tribe to which the guilty man belongs. That tribe must come forward with its clans, and Yahuwah will point out the guilty clan. That clan will then come forward, and then Yahuwah will point out the guilty family. Finally, each member of the guilty family must come forward one by one. The one who has stolen what was set apart for destruction will himself be burned with fire, along with everything he has, for he has broken the covenant of Yahuwah and has done a horrible thing in Israel. Early the next morning, Joshua brought the tribes of Israel before Yahuwah, and the tribe of Judah was singled out. Then the clans of Judah came forward, and the clan of Zerah was singled out. Then the families of Zerah came forward, and the family of Zimri was singled out. Every member of Zimri's family was brought forward by person.
Poof!
And Achan was singled out.
Poof!
Then Joshua said to Achan, my son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, by telling the truth. Make your confession and tell me what you have done. Don't hide it from me. First of all,
hide it.
Joshua was probably like, oh snap. He said, first of all, give glory to Yah for singling you out. Now go ahead and tell the truth of what you have done. And Joshua's probably standing there like, ooh, let this be the one. Let this be the one. And when he confessed, everybody should have caught a clue. But we still got some foolishness that keeps happening among our people. Joshua knew at that point. He said, my son, Achan, give God the glory. You about to die though. Listen. Then Joshua, let's go back. You got to get the whole dramatic effect. Early the next morning, Joshua brought the tribes of Israel before Yahuwah. That's just like Yahuwah, like not just my little family, right? But he will call my entire family. Let's say it started from my grandma, right? The clan of Vanetta, or just use my grandma, right? The clan of Vanetta, please come forward. So Vanetta and all her 6 children will come forward, right? And then it would say, I'm just not saying that my family is it, right? But I'm gonna just for sake of conversation, right? I'm gonna just say, okay, the family of Annetta come forth, and so she would be standing with her children, her 6 children, and her 6 children would be standing with their spouses and their children, and if they had grandchildren, they would be standing with their grandchildren. So this whole huge clan of people comes forth by calling the name of one clan, right? Call forth the tribe of Judah, because the culprit resides in there, right? And so after the tribe or the clan of Annetta comes forth, they will call forth the clan of Vernetta. My grandma's name is Vernetta. My mom's name is Vernetta, right? So they would call forth Vernetta. Vernetta and all her children would come forth. Then they would also call the clan of Vernetta, Vernetta's daughter. So my mom would come forth with all her children and her grandchildren. Then they would say, clan of Pamela. Come. I'm just using women. Y'all get what I'm saying? It's using men, but I'm just from my own family. You know, so then I would be singled out, the family of Pamela come forth. And then it narrows us down even more. And then it says, I guess if it was somebody in my house, and it will call the person within within my family, they will call them by name and say, such and such, come forth. And Joshua said, first of all, my G, give Yahuwah the glory for this casting of lots and drawing of sticks that he just did with your family to single you out, my G. Tell the truth. What you do? Why we get our tails tore off over here in AI? How could such a small group of people defeat all of us? What did you do? Right? Early the next morning, Joshua brought the tribes of Israel before Yahuwah, and the tribe of Judah was singled out. Then the clans of Judah came forward. Excuse me. And the clan of Zerah was singled out. Then the families of Zerah came forward, and the family of Zimri was singled out. Every member of Zimri's family was brought forward, person by person, and Achan was singled out. Then Joshua said to Achan, my son, give glory to Yahuwah, the God of Israel, by telling the truth. Make your confession and tell me what you have done. Don't hide it from me. Achan replied, it is true. I have sinned against Yahuwah, the God of Israel. Among the plunder, I saw a beautiful robe from Babylon, 200 silver coins, and a bar of gold weighing more than a pound. I wanted them so much that I took them. They are hidden in the ground beneath my tent, with the silver buried deeper than the rest. So Joshua sent some men to make a search. They ran to the tent and found the stolen goods hidden there, just as Achan had said, with the silver buried beneath the rest. They took the things from the tent and brought them to Joshua and all the Israelites. Then they laid them on the ground in the presence of Yahuwah. Then Joshua said, and all the Israelites took Achan, the silver, the robe, the bar of gold, his sons, daughters, cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, tent, and everything he had, and they brought them to the valley of Achor. Then Joshua said to Achan, why have you brought trouble on us? Yahuwah will now bring trouble on you. And all the Israelites stoned Achan and his family and burnt their bodies. They piled a great heap of stones over Achan, which remains to this day. That is why the place has been called the Valley of Trouble ever since. So Yahuwah was no longer angry. Whew. All right, y'all, let's go to the next chapter. Joshua chapter 8. The Israelites defeat Ai. Then Yahuwah said to Joshua, do not be afraid or discouraged. Take all your fighting men and attack Ai, for I have given you the king of Ai, his people, his town, and his land. You know Jeremiah not here to take the trash out. Thanks, babe. It's trash day.
Oh,
we got all that back there.
Oh.
Yeah. Thank you. Then Yahuwah said to Joshua, do not be afraid or discouraged. Take all your fighting men and attack Ai, for I have given you the king of Ai, his people, his town, and his land. You will destroy them as you have destroyed Jericho and its king. But this time you may keep the plunder and the livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the town. So Joshua and all the fighting men set out to attack Ai. Joshua chose 30,000 of his best warriors and sent them out that night with these orders. Hide in ambush close behind the town and be ready for action. When our main army attacks, the men of Ai will come out and fight as they did before, and we will run away from them. We will let them chase us until we have drawn them away from the town. For they will say, the Israelites are running away from us as they did before. Then, while they are running from them, you would jump up from your ambush and take possession of the town, for Yahuwah your God will give it to you. Set the town on fire as Yahuwah has commanded. You have your orders. So they left and went to the place of ambush between Bethel and the west side of Ai. But Joshua remained among the people in the camp that night. Early the next morning, Joshua roused his men and started toward Ai, accompanied by the elders of Israel. All the fighting men who were with Joshua marched in front of the town and camped on the north side of Ai, with a valley between them and the town. That night, Joshua set about 5,000 men to lie in ambush between Bethel and Ai on the west side of the town. So they stationed the main army north of the town and the ambush west of the town. Joshua himself spent that night in the valley. When the king of Ai saw the Israelites cross the valley, he and all his army hurried out early in the morning and attacked the Israelites at a place overlooking the Jordan Valley. But he didn't realize there was an ambush behind the town. Joshua and the Israelite army fled toward the wilderness as though they were badly beaten. Then all the men in the town were called out to chase after them. In this way, they were lured away from the town. There was not a man left in Ai or in Bethel who did not chase after the Israelites, and the town was left wide open. Then Yahuwah said to Joshua, "Point the spear in your hand toward Ai, for I will hand the town over to you." Joshua did as he was commanded, and as soon as Joshua gave this signal, all the men in ambush jumped up from their position and poured into the town. They quickly captured it and set it on fire. When the men of Ai looked behind them, smoke from the town was filling the sky, and they had nowhere to go. For the Israelites who had fled in the direction of the wilderness now turned on their pursuers. When Joshua and all the other Israelites saw that the ambush had succeeded and that smoke was rising from the town, they turned and attacked the men of Ai. Meanwhile, the Israelites who were inside the town came out and attacked the enemy from the rear. So the men of Ai were caught in the middle, with Israelite fighters on both sides. Israel attacked them, and not a single person survived or escaped. Only the king of Ai was taken alive and brought to Joshua. When the Israelite army finished chasing and killing all the men of Ai in the open fields, they went back and finished off everyone inside. So the entire population of Ai, including men and women, was wiped out that day, 12,000 in all. For Joshua kept holding out his spear until everyone who had lived in Ai was completely destroyed. Only the livestock and treasures of the town were not destroyed, for the Israelites kept these as plunder for themselves, as Yahuwah had commanded Joshua. So Joshua burnt the town of Ai, and it became a permanent mound of ruins, desolate to this very day. Joshua impaled the king of Ai on a sharpened pole and left him there until evening. At sunset, the Israelites took down the body as Joshua commanded and threw it in front of the town gate. They piled a great heap of stones over him that can still be seen today. Yahuwah's covenant renewed. Then Joshua built an altar to Yahuwah, the God of Israel, on Mount Ebal. He followed the commands that Moses, the Lord's servant, had written in the book of instruction. Make me an altar from stones that are uncut and have not been shaped with iron tools. And we know that has been done all over the world in opposite fashion. Yahuwah said, when you build an altar to me, he said, make sure it's of uncut stones. We got beautifully modeled buildings, shaped and cut and fashioned so beautifully. First off, we walking into wrongness. First off, matter of fact, you was wrong when you even set to mold these stones. The place that you would call a place of worship, you were wrong even to begin molding those stones, right? Then Joshua built an altar to Yahuwah, the God of Israel, on Mount Ebal. He followed the commands that Moses, Yahuwah's servant, had written in the book of instruction. Make me an altar from stones that are uncut and have not been shaped with iron tools. Then on the altar they presented burnt offerings and peace offerings to Yahuwah. As the Israelites watched, Joshua copied onto the stones of the altar the instructions Moses had given them. Then all the Israelites, foreigners and native-born alike, along with the elders, officers, and judges, were divided into two groups. I bet. Okay. One group stood in front of Mount Gerizim, the other in front of Mount Ebal. Each group faced the other and between them stood the Levitical priests carrying the ark of Yahuwah's covenant. It was all done according to the commands that Moses, the servant of Yahuwah, had given previously for blessing the people of Israel. Joshua then read them all the blessings and curses Moses had written in the book of instruction. Every word of every command that Moses had ever written was read to the entire assembly of Israel, including the women and children and all the foreigners who lived among them. And our people would do well to do this thing that they're doing. Matter of fact, when Yahuwah brought them together, that's exactly what they did, what we've been doing every day. As a matter of fact, he said just read, just simply read. Of course, I add in some of my personal experiences and how I've experienced the scriptures along the way to kind of give you more of a visual, you know. I know y'all have your own visuals, but maybe some people who are just turning to y'all like, what? You know, because I know when I first started actually reading it, it just sounded like, I use the King James Version. I still love the King James Version. Matter of fact, I think I remember just about everything in the King James Version vernacular, but I like reading it aloud to people from this version because it's more modern, right? And I'm very familiar with the Old Testament, so if I see a mistranslation, I'll point it out to you, right? So, last chapter for today, Joshua chapter 9. Now all the kings west of the Jordan River heard about what had happened. These were the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites who lived in the hill country in the western foothills along the coast of the Mediterranean Sea, as far north as the Lebanon mountains. These kings combined their armies to fight against Joshua and the Israelites. But when the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they resorted to deception to save themselves. Bella, turn it down. And it sounds like she at the top of the stairs, but that thing sound like it's at the bottom of the stairs. Thank you. When the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they resorted to deception to save themselves. They sent ambassadors to Joshua, loading their donkeys with weathered saddlebags and old patched wineskins. They put on worn-out patched sandals and ragged clothes, and the bread they took with them was dry and moldy. When they arrived at the camp of Israel at Gilgal, they told Joshua and the men of Israel, "We have come from a distant land to ask you to make a peace treaty with us." The Israelites replied to the Hivites, "How do we know that you don't live by? For if you do, we cannot make a treaty with you." They replied, "We are your servants." "But who are you?" Joshua demanded. "Where do you come from?" They answered, "Your servants have come from a very distant country. We have heard of the might of Yahuwah your God and all he did in Egypt." Mind you, everybody hearing about all this stuff. Ain't nobody had no telephone. They answered, "Your servants have come from a very distant country. We have heard of the might of Yahuwah your God and all he did in Egypt. We have also heard what he did to the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan River, King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all our people instructed us, take supplies for a long journey. Go meet with the people of Israel and tell them, we are your servants. Please make a treaty with us. This bread was hot from the ovens when we left our homes, but now, as you can see, it is dry and moldy. These wineskins were new when we filled them, but now they are old and split open. Our clothing and sandals are worn out from our very long journey." So the Israelites examined their food, but they did not consult Yahuwah. Then Joshua made a peace treaty with them and guaranteed their safety, and the leaders of the community ratified their agreement with a binding oath. Let me tell you something. I know about people who can be very convincing, and if you don't go and check with the Most Holy, you don't check with Yah about whether you should enter into a contract with them, boy, I tell you, it bites you in the butt every single time, right? They sound so convincing that they were taken by them. And I believe that Yahuwah allowed it to happen. It's to snap you back. Now you got something. Remember, I don't care how sincere you think they are. You need to go double check, right? Like I tell y'all all the time. Don't believe what I'm telling you. Even though I may sound real convincing, I'm telling you, I can be convincing. But I wouldn't purposely tell you a lie either. But the whole point in saying is you should verify all the information that you are given, or people come to you and present you with something, even if they, oh man, you take pity on, like, seriously, I'm telling you. Oh, y'all, I got a story for y'all. Let me tell you about something. Hold on. Okay, so look, Trina, you might remember this. I'm not sure if you was there. Okay, so this story just came back to me. I forgot about this. Okay, so it was the early 2000s, right? We started going to Calvary. It was like 2001. We was there till like from 2001 to 2008, right? So there was this Caucasian young couple that had came to the church, right? And so the church was filled with young couples like me and my husband. So this young Caucasian couple had come. I'm not exactly sure how they found the church, or if they were if they actually lived in the vicinity in the neighborhood, in the vicinity of the church, because the church was a little small church, you know. But it was as long as it had been there, the neighborhood that it was in, it had begun to transform, and now it was Hispanic people on all sides. So the new home, the Hispanic people was moving in. So you got this black church now in an all Hispanic community with all the communities around, right? So we could tell he was Hispanic, but she was Caucasian. He looked like maybe he was mixed with Caucasian and Hispanic, right? But she was white. Okay, so they come in, they sitting in the church, and first of all, everybody looking at them, right? Because y'all the only white people sitting in this black church. Although it wasn't a big church, it was a handful of married couples. We probably had about 80-something people in the church, maybe. But they come in, you know, we treat them no kind of way. We say, oh, hey, how you doing, brother? You know, sis, you know, we treat them like, you know, they one of us. So they sitting there. So pastor's teaching and everything, and then doing a sermon like he always do. He'll reach out and greet them or whatever, and tell everybody, show them love and stuff. And he asked them if they had any prayer requests, right? Y'all, I'll never forget this. Look. So the girl stands up and she said, yes, I got a prayer request, right? And we didn't know we knew that they were together because they clicked. Well, when me and James and our crew, we only had two at the time. We had only had Elijah and Jeremiah at this time. Those were the only two kids we had. So you can see how long ago this was. We got 6, right? So we come in and they was already sitting in there. They were sitting on the left side of the church. We sat over on the right, where we normally always sit, right towards the middle. And so she stood up, and she was sitting like on, it was like the first. It was like the second. They was sitting on the second row on the left side. So she stood up. She said, yes, Pastor, thank you. She said, well, I would like prayer for me and my family. And then she started talking about her boyfriend. What did she say, her boyfriend or her husband? She said her fiance, right? So she began to ask for prayer about her fiance, and she began talking about some of the things that they were going through. And so it was like, oh, you know, everybody's sitting there listening, you know, listening to her story and stuff. She wanted to detail. And so he said, okay, so he said, we're going to pray for you. And she was telling about how they were like homeless or whatever. And she decided she wanted to come to the church. And all this time I was like, oh, well, maybe that's her brother or something that's sitting there beside her or whatever. You know, so she going on and talking about this, her fiance and everything. So Pastor, he had even called her up and prayed for her and everything and laid hands on her. And so he finally asked her the question. He said, well, where is your fiance? And she said, oh, that's him right there. And everybody around the church like, look, because the whole time this was going on, she was talking about him like he wasn't even there, right? Like he wasn't even there. But I'm like, it just blew my mind. And she sounded, it was
Mom,
the whole, what, Pooh?
I wake up first.
Yes, she woke up first.
Yay.
And the whole point of telling that story is because they went through this whole, and I'm going to kind of jump ahead a little bit. They went through this whole, like sob story, right? And we were taken in by their sob story. And so come to find out, okay, oh, so this is your fiance. This whole time you were here, you was telling us about him. We thinking he up and off somewhere, maybe off in war or something, the way you talking about him. And he ain't said nothing the whole time. The guy that was sitting there, he didn't like flinch his face or even hey, I'm the fiance or whatever. He just let her get up and do all the speaking like she did. And the way she presented the story is like he was off somewhere or whatever. So we got there, it was like me and Jay was like, what, bro? But anyway, so what happened was afterwards, me and James, everybody greeted them, and Pastor took up an offering for him and everything. And Pastor took up an offering for him. And so they get this offering. I only know how much because they shared it with us, not that we asked them. Because afterwards, me and James, being loving like we are, we got some space, So it was like, oh, and she was like, well, they were kind of like living out their car and stuff. I was like, okay, well, they seem pretty cool. Pastor prayed for them. Like, it really sounds sincere. So it was like, hey, if you need a place to go, you can come chill with us for a couple of days. We ain't take them to be like mass murders or anything like that. I was like, go home, cook whatever, get y'all a good home cooked meal. So they come over, and we let them stay at our house for a couple of days, right? And so while staying there for a couple of days, we began to know a little bit more about them, simply because they began to share with us, right? Let me tell you something. If I could have cursed them out, I would have cursed them out. These, I want to call them regins, but that's the bad word for black people backwards. So I ain't going to call them regins, but I want to call them regins. The neighborhood that surrounded the church, these Negroes, and they ain't Negroes, they live right there. The way they presented this story, it was like they lived so far away. And what she used was, because they had family, I believe it was in California or something. They had went there for a little bit, but had come back. And then they couldn't stay there because of the boyfriend or whatever. And I guess the family, they didn't really like him too much. But all of this stuff didn't come out until we were there. It was like, wait a minute. So y'all done presented this story to the good people of the church. Like, y'all are from California, living in y'all car, have no place to go, and you decided to come lay all your cares at the Lord's house, and maybe he can take care of you when both of your families live right here in this neighborhood that the church was at. And we didn't find that out until, and I'm like, Father, you know what? We are the idiots, because who was listening to you? How did all of us get taken and not know? Like, as long as the church been there, ain't nobody ever seen these two people face. Like, I don't hang out around the church. I don't hang around the neighborhood. So I'm like, and I was pissed for days about this. I'm like, we ain't helping nobody else. Ain't nobody else coming into our house. They didn't know how much they come up. These jokers done got about 3 stacks from the church. Like, I was pissed, So, but that story kind of had a little bit to do with what we just read about these people that act like they was from far away, but they from right there in that city that they about to take. Came up real quick about 3 stacks from the church, a little small church of young couples. And this was the early 2000s, y'all. How you get that much money? Because who was blessing us? We were pure in our hearts towards them, and so they come in lying, taking the church's money, and going about their business. We found that out. James like, they got to get the H up out of here. I was like, I'm with you. How we going to get them out of our house? I'm like, look, we got family coming. Look, and then we started laughing. We got family coming into town. Look, knowing that our family live. We got family coming into town. And we need a place for them to stay. So, maybe y'all could take some of that money that y'all got, from the offering, and go ahead and get y'all a hotel room, or, go try and work things out with your families over there, where y'all live at, right? Man, boy, I tell you, when I tell you people can be so convincing, people are extremely convincing, and they will take you for all you have. And that's something I know sometimes church folks can be right ignorant, right? But it burns me up to, even though some people may be ignorant, it burns me up to see people take advantage of their ignorance, right? I don't care that they're off in la la land somewhere, and they truly may be off in la la land, not realizing they're in la la land, but realizing they're in thinking that they're in the right place. It's a difference for people that's ignorant and just ignorant for no good reason. But they ignorant because Yahuwah has blinded them for turning against him, right? And it's like, I hate to see people play on the good hearts of other people. Yeah, play on, yes, gullible is the word. I hate to see that. You know, even if I see something, I'm going to try and help you out. Look, sis, look, I know you see that, right? That is a red flag, but you calling it pink. You calling it fuchsia. No, my G, that's a red flag. Don't do it. I'm going to try and help you out in your ignorance a little bit. Like, because I'm not going to take advantage of you, but I don't know that the next person going to be as kind as I am. Right? Because I feel the most holy, so I'm not going to take advantage of the innocence, right? And I look at those that are, I think are, they ignorant, almost like the innocence, like you're not innocent in a way, but sometimes in your ignorance, you can be counted as ignorance be counted as innocent because you do not know. No, don't take that the wrong way, because you're ignorant. But you get what I'm saying, right? I'm not going to play on you because you don't know. I'm going to tell you the truth, and then you deal with me in the truth. Either you can accept it or you can't. If you can't, that's fine. You know, we can move on. But that taught me a good lesson. I was reminded of that story when I read this. So, but y'all, I'm telling you, no matter, I'm just saying, you always double check with the Most Holy, especially when you're thinking about bringing somebody in, right? I got a lot of the, not like that story, but the time before me and my husband got married, and my grandma wanted to wring my neck. She said, girl, he could have been a mass murderer. 30 days didn't go to sleep all night. I was sleeping soundly. I had bought somebody. I was like, we can help you. We got space. You know, my grandma won't mind, because I had just got stationed back home. And me and James hadn't got married yet, but Elijah was with me. So I was living with my grandma, and I saw this homeless man on the street. You know, he had a sea bag. You know, so I'm military. I'm thinking you were a veteran out here down on your luck. He was a Caucasian guy. Talking about the homeless, Alicia, yeah, I'm talking about the homeless man. And so I'm thinking, you know, a veteran down on his luck. You know, you got a scraggly beard. He was Caucasian. You know, I'm not a racist person. If I see somebody down, I'm going to try and help you know, because Yahuwah has helped us. So I'm going to try and return the favor, right? You know, so I say, have you eaten today? You know, so I went and got him something to eat. And you can tell he was kind of withdrawn a little bit. Or maybe it was just a show, you know. But what took me in was the sea bag, you know. So with I'm just young, I say young in the Lord. Just as ignorant as I want to be. And I still remember this day, my grandma, she wanted to kill me. Got on something to get you something to eat. So I got him something to eat. I went to the little McDonald's right there. And I said, come on. I said, how long has it been, you know, since you had a good home cooked meal? I said, my grandma's cooking dinner later. You can eat this now, put something on your stomach. You come, shower, and we get all your clothes and stuff washed up. Took this man home. I never forget his name. His name is Jimmy. Got to the house. Dave hadn't got home from work yet. Grandma was sitting there on the couch with her crocheting needle. And so I walk in all happy. Hey, Grandma, look, I want to introduce you to somebody. And anybody know my grandma, her glasses be down on her face like this. She's sitting there. I said, Grandma, this is Jimmy. He said, look, I didn't even ask him if he was a veteran. I just assumed he was a veteran because of the sea bag, right? The green sea bag. And I said, you know, he's a veteran down. And he never said anything. He was a veteran down on his luck. You know, I was coming from work. I seen him sitting over there across when we was in the shipyard. So I was on the Roosevelt. That's exactly how she looked, Shayla. And she said, I told him, you know, we give him a rest, you know, because he looked like he was tired. So I told him, you know, I got him something to eat, and I told him he was cooking dinner, and I figured, you know what, I invited him in, and she just kind of side-eyed me. She wanted to snap on me in front of him, but Grandma held it together for a little bit, right? Dave come walking in the house shortly. When Dave come in the house, you know, Grandma's looking at me. I was like, okay. I was like, and I told him, I'll wash his clothes and stuff, and he need a good shower and stuff. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and show him. And I was like, come on. Like, not even giving Grandma a chance to respond to me because I'm thinking I'm doing this good deed and stuff, right? Thank you, Lord, for keeping me in my ignorance of my young life Listen. Take them in there. Okay, here's the bathroom. Go ahead, shower. I'm gonna get your washcloth and towel, everything, all the soap, anything. Grandma got everything. Choose from how you want to smell and go ahead and get yourself together in there. And I'll go ahead and start your laundry. So I took his bag and I went over to the washing machine and dryer and I pops it open. I move my little laundry out the way. And I'm just reaching through. I ain't think about sanitizing, putting no gloves on or nothing. I'm just thinking, I'm helping somebody out down on their luck. And so I opened up and start separating his clothes, doing it. And my grandma, she said, Pam, where'd you find him at? I said, Grandma, I told you. He was sitting outside the shipyard. I went to go get some gas and I seen him and I figured, I'm going to go talk to him. So I left my truck parked over there at Citgo and I walked across the street and I was sitting there, I was talking to him, right? And I felt compelled, he was like, yeah. He did talk to me. He said he'd been out here, He said this is the meal he had that was sitting there. He said that's the first meal I'd had in a few days. He said sometimes, people come past, they help him, sometimes they don't. He said he just kind of used that bench. He said if it's raining, he just try and find a place that's covered and he sleep there, But he had been out, on the streets for a while. And I could tell, he, unshaven and stuff, But, make a long story short so we can finish the reading. But anyway, Dave come home. Dave ain't never said nothing to me. Dave was getting to Grandma, and Grandma returned it to me. Look, and so bedtime, she said, listen here, girl. She said, how dumb is you? She said, you don't burn nobody. You don't know if this man is a mass murderer. How we gonna get him out of here? I'm like, Grandma, I said the man was homeless. I said, you just put him away. You want me to take him back to the bench? I don't care where you take him. But he can't stay here. I'm like, well, Grandma, okay, listen. I said, okay. Well, I promised him he could at least, get a good night's sleep. I said, maybe on the couch. She said, I'm going to have to detox my whole living room. I don't know if this man got crabs or something. How anybody know my grandma, she was going in, right? She was ready to kill me. She said, and you don't even live here for real. I'm about to kick you in, your son. I'm like, Grandma, okay. I said, okay, first thing in the morning, I said, I'll make sure when I leave out, I'm going to get up extra early, and I'm going to take him back to the bench he was at. She said, you better not ever do this no more. She said, don't you ever bring nobody back to my house, especially without clearing it for me. I said, okay, Grandma, I'm sorry. I apologize. And Dave just sitting there like, listen to your grandma, Pam. Listen to your grandma. I said, okay, Dave, I'm sorry. I just thought I was being helpful. But come to find out, I said all that. This Reginald won't no retired parent. I just assumed that about him because of the sea bag. He was carrying his stuff around in grocery bags, and one of the sailors from the shipyards had seen him and came and gave him a sea bag so he don't have to carry all his stuff in the bags and stuff. But he had issues with his family too. Trina, you remember my grandma? Yeah, Trina Sound. She was so sweet to me when I came over. You remember that time Joanna came over and she was making that my Aunt Tina was there and Grandma kicked across the chair? She said, first of all, you need to subtract $10 for the smoke. Anybody know my grandma would have loved her. Okay. But I just want to say that, y'all. So I'm just saying, please don't be ignorant. Ask your who. I don't care who comes to you and what type of sob story they have. A lot of times, so I'm not saying everybody's like that, but some people is not going to be straightforward with you. You're welcome, Aliyah. Yeah, if you ignorant, you ignorant. I'm hollering, Crystal. Look, Ma, you remember that? Okay, so I'm just saying, no matter, we got good hearts sometimes and we want to help people because we don't want to see anybody down on their luck because we know how it is when we get down on our luck. We want somebody to help us. So, but you got to be careful because people make a living out of playing on other people's good hearts and their good intentions. So, guys, and I love my church for although, and I was there. So just don't be ignorant, y'all. Don't let your love for y'all and your ignorance get you in trouble. And some people could end up dead. And I got another story about that where I believe Yahuwah saved me from being murdered. Like, I believe I was caught, me and my son. Okay, I'm just tell you this one more story. Because we're talking about ignorance, right? I'm telling you from what happened to me. In the military, I joined this choir, right? And so we were singing. It's called Voices of Expression here in Virginia Beach. So we would have the rehearsals, and my aunt, she comes in from time to time, but anyway, my aunt had been a part of this group for a few years, and I really enjoyed it because I love music, I love singing, so I'm like, okay, I need something to do when I get off of work anyway, so I decided I wanted to join the choir. So I can't really hold a note for real, but I love singing, but I wanted to join the choir, and they let me in, so I'm like, yay, I got new friends, we singing, right? So this one particular night, right, choir rehearsal was over. It's just me and Elijah. Me and James hadn't got married yet, right? You high school sweetheart, but we got married. All the kids we got, it's all of ours, right? So James we hadn't got married yet, so he was still in Illinois. Me and Elijah are here. I was active duty military. So this particular night, it was over, and there was a woman, a sister, black woman, so choir rehearsal is over. Here she come walking down the street. I know she was probably looked like she was in her 30s, right? And so she walked, and I seen her standing there, and a couple people talked to her, and somebody know her or whatever. And so me and Elijah getting in the truck, and now that I think about it, after you who had showed it to me, I was like, oh my God, I am so naive. I say it's amazing that I have stayed alive this long. I said thank you, because you sure protect babies and fools. And you probably protect us because Elijah, because sometimes I don't be thinking, I say, God, this good heart be almost getting me in trouble sometimes. But I think you would be saving my butt because he know my intentions is good and I truly want to help people, right? So thank you for jolting me awake and merging me with the type of husband I have. Because my husband like, Pam, look. So if anybody know my husband is no nonsense and don't get on his bad side. He gonna tell you straight like it is, right? And so I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay. So I let her say she came up and we was pulling off. We mind our own business, being ignorant and on our way home, right? So she come up to the window and I had this Ford Explorer truck, so Elijah in the back seat. Look, leaving out the church, bumping DMX, right? So, and I seen her turn, you got to turn it down in the parking lot of the church, me and Elijah there. What? Right? So we got to turn it down. We get into the church parking lot. And so she came up. She said, hey. She said, listen, how you doing? I said, I'm doing good, sis. She said, look. She said, I need a ride down the street. She said, do you think you can give me a ride? I said, well, where down the street? I said, because I'm going, we was in Virginia Beach and I lived in Chesapeake. I said, because I'm going back the Chesapeake direction. She said, oh, no, it's along the way when you go going towards the expressway. I said, okay, well, she said, yeah, she said, it's just a little bit too far, and my somebody couldn't come pick her up, but she was tired and she wanted to get home. The lady was gonna rob me. Look, let me tell you the story. I think what was gonna happen was more that I was gonna get robbed. Let me tell you. Because y'all know, now we know some of these schemes that they have going on, they're using women to lure in other vulnerable women. And they lure you to a place where it's men that's going to do whatever it is they're going to do to you, right? And I truly believe that this was one of them times. I'm going to tell you, and I'm almost certain. To this day, I'm 100% sure that's what I was almost caught. And let me tell you what happened. So we got in the truck. I said, yeah, come on, hop in, I'll drop you off. So although, I was listening to DMX and stuff, my heart was still pure towards y'all. Like, I talked to him all the time, right? And some of my music choices may be frowned upon from the good church folks, but anytime, y'all, I'm talking to you, right? That's because just how I grew up. And I've always had a pure heart towards people, so I'm going to help you out. Okay, you ain't got to give me nothing in return. So we in the truck, and we driving. So she said it's probably about 5 minutes down the road, so she said, okay. But as we got away from the church, and I turned the music down, so, and we was chatting along the way. She was just talking. I was like, oh, and she was just talking. She said, you have a really beautiful son. I said, thank you. And she said, like, hey, baby, and so then she turned around, and I could tell she started to get a little antsy, right? And then I inwardly, like, Father, something don't seem right. And all of a sudden, you guys ever felt I don't know if you ever felt it, but have you ever felt a presence of like deep fear come upon you? Like scared, like, oh my gosh, what is that? Something's about to happen. It's like I had never felt that in my life. and it like grabbed me. It was so thick. It was like it was sitting there in the car with us. But I noticed this was not a normal thing that I had ever experienced, and I immediately got terrified. And I thought about this woman, and she said, oh, you know what? We was coming past this 7-Eleven. She said, I don't see anybody there at the house. She said, can you take me down here? She said, I was going to go home. She said, but it don't look like anybody there. Probably why they say they couldn't come get me right now. So can you go a little bit further down here? And as I looked ahead, it was a dark alley. She said, it's right just through this alley over here. This is like the shortcut. You go this way. And it got stronger and stronger. On the end, it's like the inside of me began to like tremble. And I didn't understand what it was, and I didn't know what it was, but I knew immediately that we were in danger, right? And then I prayed, and I said, Father, help me. And I said it out loud, right? And it was like all of a sudden, it was like something grabbed a hold of her. And it was like she did like that. And I looked, and I'm like, and I said, I don't know. I said, it's going to take me. I said, I know it's right down there. I said, but I'm going to be honest with you. I said, it's dark down there. I ain't never been down that road, and I'm going to drop you off right here at 7-Eleven. I said, I'm sorry, but I can't take you any further than this. And I pulled in there. I said, you got to get out. I said, she said, it's just, I said, no, I'm not going down there. You got to get out of my truck right now. And so she said, it's dark down there. I don't want to have to walk. I said, well, you need to go over there to the house where you said you told me you was originally going to go, and you need to wait for whoever you need to wait for. I said, but I cannot take you any further than this. Get out of my truck now. And so she said, well, okay. She said, well, I'm okay. She said, well, ain't nothing. I said, no, there he is. I don't know what it is. I said, but you got to go. And so she got out, and she closed that door. I locked that door and sped out of there. When I tell you I repented the whole time driving home, I was in tears because I knew had not Yahuwah intervened, or I had not made that woman get out of my truck, that would have been the end of me and my son, possibly that night. And so it's like, oh, Pam, you gotta stop being taken by people, So I'm telling, when I tell y'all this, I got so many stories about some of these things. Like, now I ain't playing with none of you Regis no more. Like, I ain't playing with none of y'all no more. I look at people sometime. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, stop your crying. You'll be okay. Help is on the way, but your help ain't gonna come from me today. I'm like, Father, send somebody else. I said, because I don't want to be caught in this situation. I don't know if they telling me the truth or not. I said, but you won't catch me there. You won't find us there no more in these type of situations. So I just want to give you a couple stories. I know that was pretty long. Where we at today? Where we at? My time. Oh, man, we have 56 minutes. Okay, all right, let me finish reading. But I really wanted to share those things with y'all today. Some of these things that we're reading in the scriptures, we can really take them and learn the principles from them. And we can actually see it working in our life. And if we would listen to the voice of the Most Holy and talk to him first, he would tell us, no, don't go that route. No, don't listen to them. I don't care how good. No, kill all of them. Not telling us to kill them. He said, when you go, kill everybody. Don't leave anybody alive. Right? Same thing that he did with Saul. If Saul disobeyed, he did not do everything Yahuwah said. What happened? The descendant of this king comes back and now wants to come for his daddy's records and avenge his daddy's honor, and now he wants to slaughter all of Israel. And Yahuwah had to raise up another Messiah in that generation, who was Queen Esther, in order to correct the wrong that King Saul had did. So it's best for us to listen to Yahuwah all the time first. Seek him first, because I'm telling you, it'll keep you with your life a whole lot longer. All right. Okay, look. Okay. This bread... Let me just go back up here. And I'm still going to read the section. I'm going to just read one section today from the Legends of the Jews. Listen. They answered, your servants have come from a very distant country. We have heard of the might of Yahuwah your God and all he did in Egypt. We have also heard what he did to the 2 Amorite kings east of the Jordan River, King Sihon of Heshbon and King Og of Bashan, who lived in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all our people instructed us, take supplies for a long journey. Go meet with the people of Israel and tell them, we are your servants. Please make a treaty with us. This bread was hot from the ovens when we left our homes, but now you see, as we can see, it is dry and moldy. These wineskins were new when we filled them, but now they are old and split open, and our clothing and sandals are worn out from our very long journey. So the Israelites examined their food, but they did not consult Yahuwah. Then Joshua made a peace treaty with them and guaranteed their safety, and the leaders of the community ratified their agreement with a binding oath. 3 days after making the treaty, they learned that these people actually live nearby. The Israelites set out at once to investigate and reached their town in 3 days. The names of these towns were Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack the towns, for the Israelite leaders had made a vow to them in the name of Yahuwah, the God of Israel. The people of Israel grumbled against their leaders because of the treaty, but the leaders replied, "Since we have sworn an oath in the presence of Yahuwah, the God of Israel, we cannot touch them. This is what we must do. We must let them live, for divine anger would come upon us if we broke our oath. Let them live." So they made them woodcutters and water carriers for the entire community, as the Israelite leaders directed. Joshua called together the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you lie to us? Why did you say that you lived in a distant land when you lived right here among us? May you be cursed. From now on, you will always be servants who cut wood and carry water for the house of my God." They replied, "We did it because we, your servants, were clearly told that Yahuwah, your God, commanded his servant Moses to give you this entire land and to destroy all the people living in it. We feared greatly for our lives because of you. This is why we have done this. Now we are at your mercy. Do to us whatever you think is right." So Joshua did not allow the people of Israel to kill them. But that day he made the Gibeonites the woodcutters and water carriers for the community of Israel and for the altar of Yahuwah, wherever Yahuwah would choose to build it. And that is what they do to this day. Okay. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and hop over here to the Legends of the Jews real quick and just read one section. I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was taking that long. We had lost, I ain't gonna say we lost time, but time moved so fast. Okay. So we are in Volume 3, Chapter 6, page 361. The section is called The Daughters of Zelophehad. Let me take a sip of water. All right. Okay. But there was another purpose beside that of establishing Israel's family purity in taking the census at Arbat, Moab. For when Yahuwah at the exodus of Egypt put his people into Moses' hands, he entrusted them to him after having counted them, and not when Moses was about to depart from this world. He wanted to return the flock that Yahuwah had entrusted to him, truly numbered, into Yahuwah's hand. After the number of the nation had been determined, Yahuwah ordered Moses to divide the promised land among them according to their numbers. Jacob had indeed, upon his deathbed, determined what parts of the land were to fall to the lot of each tribe. But in order that the tribes might not quarrel among themselves, Yahuwah decreed that the assignments be made by lot. After the conquest of the land, Joshua and Eleazar saw to the drawings of the lots. On this occasion, the miracle came to pass that whenever Eleazar drew a lot from the urn, the lot itself announced the words, "I am the lot of thus and so." In this way was avoided the possibility of having the malcontents declare that Eleazar had at the drawing of lots been partial to his friends and had assigned them the lots they wished for. When Zelophehad's daughters that had lived piously and wisely like their father and their ancestors heard that the land was being divided among the male members of the tribe, but not among the female, they took counsel together discussing what they could do, so that they might not find themselves come out empty-handed. They said, "Yahuwah's love is not like the love of a mortal father. The latter prefers his sons to his daughters, but he that created the world extends his love to women as well as to men." That's what I'm saying. Some people out here teaching got Yahuwah all chopped and screwed, and they only talk about the men. I'm like, and that bothered me growing up. It bothered me so much until the recent years where Yahuwah said, I love you just as much as I love them, and I will do as much for you as I do for them. You know, everybody, I ain't gonna say everybody teaching it wrong, but most people and a lot of men teachers are screwing it up because of their own selfish pride and their own agendas, right? Yahuwah draws no preference for one nor the other. Listen. They said, Yahuwah's love is not like the love of a mortal father. The latter prefers his sons to his daughters, but he that created the world extends his love to women as well as to men. His tender mercies are over all his works. They now hope that Yahuwah will take pity on them and give them their share of the promised land, which they love with as great devotion as their grandsire or grandfather, Joseph, who had upon his deathbed exhorted his children to transfer his body to the Holy Land. Being wise and learned, they waited for, being wise and learned, they waited for a propitious time to lay their case before Moses, an opportunity which they found when Moses was in the house of teaching, reciting the law concerning the Levite marriage. They now advanced and said, if we are as good as our brothers, then do we lay claim to our father's inheritance and to his share of the land. But if we are not to be considered as sons, then should our mother have to marry her brother-in-law, as our father has left no issue, since we do not count, since our father has left no son. They furthermore pointed out that their father had been neither one of the spies nor one of Korah's followers, who had, owing to their sins, lost claim to their share of land, but that he had found his death when a number of men, in spite of Moses' warning, had presumed to storm the mountain occupied by the Amalekites and Canaanites. Had our father, continued they, left behind him a son, and the latter were also dead, then should we lay no claim to the inheritance if this son had left a living child, even if it were a daughter? But as we are our father's only descendants, give us, we pray, a possession among the brethren of our father. The fervent longing of these women to have a share in the Holy Land shows how much better and more pious were the women of this generation than the men. The latter said, let us make a captain and let us return to Egypt, whereas the women said, give us a possession among the brethren of our father. But not only during the rebellion that was kindled by the spies did the women remain true to Moses and to their God, but on other occasions also it was they who tried to build up what the men had torn down at the worship of the golden calf. 2. They tried to restrain the men from sin. Hence it was the men only that had to die in the desert, because they had been tempted to rebellion by the spies, whereas the women entered into the promised land. Among them also there was even to be found a woman as old as Jochebed, the daughter of Levi, by his union with Otah, who survived her sons Moses and Aaron, as well as her daughter Miriam, and was permitted to enter into the promised land at the age of 250 years. The daughters of Zelophehad did not bring their requests to Moses directly, but at first urged their plea before the lowest officers, the captains of tens. These, however, said, this is an important matter, since it touches upon the laws of inheritance. Hence it does not become us to decide this matter. Greater men than we must settle it. Hence they sent them to the captains of 50s. When these saw that out of consideration for them the captains of tens would not pass judgment, they sent the daughters of Zelophehad on to the captains of hundreds, that were their superiors. But these too, out of consideration for the higher judges, would not settle this matter. And so the daughters of Zelophehad came to the captains of thousands, who sent them to the princes of the tribes, until they came at last to the highest authority, to Moses. Now Moses might well have decided this case without further ado, but in his meekness he thought, there is still a higher authority than I, to wit, Yahuwah, and he bade them await Yahuwah's judgment. The answer that he received from Yahuwah was as follows. The daughters of Zelophehad had the law on their side, for what they desire is in accordance with the law that was written in heaven by me. Give them therefore their father's inheritance, and also 2 parts of their grandfather Heifer's possession. And their father Zelophehad was his firstborn, and was therefore entitled to a double share. Just imagine if these women had not spoke up. Imagine, like the IRS and different state entities, they call it unclaimed property. Unclaimed money, tax returns, money that rightfully belongs to people, but they never speak up and say, where is my money? Hold on, I was supposed to, no, wait a minute, I just found out I had this. We got unclaimed funds, unclaimed property, and if you don't claim it after a certain time, they call it abandoned, and they don't make it known to people because they can profit off of it. There are some rules and regulations on the people who work in it who can't do it. But if somebody is going, I got another story for y'all. Hold look, I gotta hurry up. But if there is somebody who has some property or some money or some unclaimed funds that has been sitting there in the state or within an entity, they'll give you some years to come and claim that property. But after a certain period of time, after the statute of limitations has passed for that unclaimed property or those unclaimed funds, it now becomes labeled abandoned property, right? And now they can do with it whatever they choose, right? So pray and ask the Most Holy about things that may be sitting out there that could belong to you. Now let me look. I got a couple stories real quick. Let me tell you about something that I forgot about. Right now, when you in the military, you get a 401k. They call it a TSP, thrift savings account. Right, thrift savings account, TSA. Hold on, thrift savings account. Yeah, a TSA. So me, being young and dumb, I joined the military when I was 19 years old, right? So they automatically start taking this stuff out. I did 5 years in the military. Get out, forget everything. Forget I had all this money being put away from me, taken from my paychecks. And some of you that may be watching that prior military never thought about it. Look, one day I was sitting here doing a couple weeks ago, and all of a sudden I'm like, Father, the captivity is over. Everything that belongs to us, I'm looking because of what I understand. I'm looking to see things being restored to us that have been lost, things uncovered being shown to us. I'm looking for that celestial light to come and spy out. Did I say it right? I'm sorry. TSP, thank you, Uncle Nathaniel. What I say? I said TSA. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know what I meant though. Thank you. TSP, right? So, everything restored to us. And I was sitting there, mind you, I got out of the military 2003. 5 years from day one. Money going into the thrift savings plan, right? Thrift savings plan, TSP. Going into that, it's a 401. It's literally a 401k because you can take it and you can roll it over, right? Into another like a IRA or into a 401k if you're working for somebody else, right? So the other day, during this tax season, an active duty military person, I was helping them, and they started asking questions about their TSP. I said, hold on, let me look it up. And while I was sitting there, it was like, who said, you remember you have one of these? I'm like, wait, I do. I got one of these. Oh, snap. I'm like, how all these years and the years we were struggling, why did I not think about that? Money's just sitting there gaining interest over all these years. Thank be the Most Holy that's not counted as abandoned property, right? There's no statute of limitations on that. And it's just sitting there gaining interest. It's been sitting there gaining interest while I had completely, I hadn't even thought about it while I was active duty. It's just something that they take out, okay. 19 years old in the military, okay. I just counted it like taxes. Set it and forget it, right? And I completely forgot about it from day one when they started taking it. I had never thought about it again until a couple weeks ago when you reminded me. I'm like, oh snap. Got to get in touch with them and get my money. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you that captivity is over and you're restoring everything to us. Let me tell you something else. IRS, although I do taxes, I don't fool with the IRS like that, but I fools with them because I like to help people out, right? Okay, this is what we need to do. Boom, boom, boom. Got myself into a little bit of trouble playing with stuff with the tax laws. Let's not do that again. Okay, boom, okay. Look, so the IRS, we hadn't got a tax return from the IRS since 2009, where everybody else be like, oh yeah, because we got a business or whatever. But even that they, just we don't see money from them, right? So we don't, when tax time roll around, we ain't thinking about getting no return, because okay, we lucky if we break even, boom, 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 all this money we made, okay, we need to do some better tax planning, right? So I called my mama. Look, day before yesterday, it's like money coming out of nowhere. IRS agent calls me on the phone. Like, y'all think people don't have our numbers and know how to get in touch with us? And I saw it, because now when people call you, that caller ID, it automatically is possibly this number. Even if they not saving your phone, it'll pop up. So I'm like, wait a minute. Let me answer this. Hello? Yes, I'm looking for Pamela Murphy. I said, this is she. She said, hi, yes. This is such and such from the IRS. My ID number is such. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, okay. She said, we're looking over your 2018 tax return. It was like, even though we have returns, they had, because of some things I was playing with, they hit me with a bunch of like civil penalties and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I will never be able to pay them off. So I kind of be working with, I was like, okay, Father, show me how to undo my mistake, because they keep adding money to this. And so that's why they be taking stuff and they be adding to this. I was like, oh no, all this money that y'all done extracted from us is coming back to us. I was like, because I'm going to fix my mistake. And then all this money now you're going to have to pay back to us with interest. So make a long story, she said, yes, there was just a simple matter here of us correcting your marital status. And I'm like, my marital status? She said, yes, they couldn't find out if you were single, if you were filing single, if you were filing married joint. I said, well, how could that be? I said, me and my husband will be married 20 years come September, and for the last 20 years, we've been filing a joint tax return. I said, how was that even an issue? She said, yeah, I was wondering the same thing. I don't know, maybe it was fraud or something, I don't know. But anyway, we got about $6,000, it was a little over $6,000 that we need to get out of here. It's accruing interest, and we need to get it to you. I'm like, bless be the most holy, go ahead and bring all that money back into us. Yes, captivity is over and everything is being restored to us. And all these years, all this money that you done extracted from the Murphy household has to be turned back over to us and paid to us in interest. You know that the IRS will pay you interest on your money if they've held it too long. Just like they charge you interest. And when you take too long to pay them, it's required by law that they pay you interest on top of the money that they have held, that they have to cut out to you. They won't pay you penalties, but they will put that interest on top of that money that they've been holding for years, keeping it from you. I'm telling y'all better go to the Most Holy. Look, let me go ahead and finish with this. I'm telling y'all better try some of this stuff. Look, you will say captivity is over. And look, what happened? Look. Remember what happened when they come out of Egypt? What you would do? Before he started bringing them out of captivity, he started blessing them with gifts. While the Egyptians, they had bulls and stuff, and they couldn't use their beautiful pools and stuff like that. It said Israel was using their stuff. Everything that they had, Yahuwah said, look, I'm going to give you gifts. And even when they got out there to the Sinai to get the Torah, Yahuwah said, even before I brought you here, I just began to pour out gifts on you. Let's hear. Look, Lisa, you mind if I tell this? My sister ordered a elliptical bike, not elliptical bike, echelon bike. She ordered and paid for it, right? And so my mom had got one, then my sister got one. I was like, oh, that's nice how to get one, but I already got a treadmill. My husband be getting on me about me using it for a clothes rack and stuff. So I've been doing good exercising on it. I don't need another clothes hanger. I got so much stuff around here. No, I'm going to use this stuff. My husband, he said, look, what I get you the treadmill for? You won't even be using it. The kids use it more than you. I said, you right. Touche. I'm going to start using it. So I've been using it, right? So I'm going to keep my promise, babe, this year. Keep my promise. And I've been keeping my promise. Been getting on the treadmill. I was like, I need to get the exercise in there anyway. Because we trying to have a Rona roll up on me. Rona can't live in here. Look, Leisha. Yes, that's lit. Look, that's how where you got 4 bikes. I'm going to tell y'all this real quick, right? When Yahuwah started dropping gifts, and I thought about this, oh, snap. Lisa said, listen, because at first she ordered a bike. The bikes, it was like $400, almost $500, right? So she ordered the bike. And let me plug this in. She ordered the bike, and so it didn't come the day it said it was gonna come. It actually came a day later. So when the day it said it was supposed to come, she called them. Hey, the bike hasn't come. The thing it says been delivered. It wasn't delivered here. Track my bike. And so they said, okay, well, let us track it. we see it's been delivered, but it doesn't say where. So, okay, well, we'll go ahead and put in another order. We'll cancel this. You know, they didn't double charge her or anything. Oh, sorry. It was $1,000. Yes, $1,000. So we'll go ahead and do this. She said, okay. So they sent her out. They said they'll overnight it anyway. Anyway, the bike shows up at her door. Oh, a week late. It was a week late. Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you. So it showed up a week. Well, the replacement showed up. It got to her a week late, right? And so they told her, they said, okay, if the other bike shows up, because it said it was delivered, but if we really don't see where, just send it back, and here's the return receipt for it, right? So she had that, okay, and close out the order. Boom. So the bike that had been delivered, they said it was delivered, that she didn't get, didn't show up. But the replacement, they overnighted to her, she got that bike that day, right? So the replacement bike came, and if I remember correctly, this was just last week, y'all. This was just last week. An hour later, the bike that said had been delivered showed up at her door too. She said, what? So now she got $2,000 bikes sitting in her house. It's like them, they all see like them Peloton bikes. It's a bike like that, but it's Echelon. It's called Echelon. They got the Peloton. It's just like it, but it's called Echelon, right? And so she was like, oh, well, you showed up. So she called them, let them know, hey, look, the bike did show up. You sent me the return receipt already. I'm going to go ahead, put it up there, have them pick it back up, ship it back, right? She did that. I think it was 2 days later. Guess what? Another Echelon bike, another $1,000 bike shows up at her house. She said, wait. So she called them right away. Hey, listen, did you, look, I called this. You sent me a replacement. You said if the other one show up, you know, send it back. The other one did show up, and I put it on it, and I shipped it back. Like, they just picked it up. She said, but another bike has come. They said, okay, well, let's look over your account. They said, well, we don't see anywhere in your record that another bike, and nothing else extra is on your account. We don't know. Like, so she didn't have no return receipt. They couldn't give her a return receipt because nothing is noted on her account for an extra bike. She said, well, listen, I'm telling you, there's an extra bike here coming from you, coming to me. I already have the replacement bike, and I sent the first bike back already. Well, ma'am, they act like they can't help her. You know, so she was like, well, okay, you know, because she ain't trying to be a thief or nothing, because we know curses come upon thieves. And when you buy hot stuff, that curse follow you to your house too, you hot stuff taker. So don't do that. So she's like, look, I said, well, we should call them back, you know. And so she's like, okay. She's like, look, girl, I don't know what to do. It's another bike here. She said, I was like, well, she said, you want it? I said, well, and I'm thinking, I know she ain't silly. She called the counter. I said, well, I could use a bike, and I thought about getting one, but I told my husband, use my treadmill. So now she's going ahead, try and send it back some more. Or ask her if she want our other sister. So she was like, well, I ain't really got no room for it or whatever. She said, so, you know, she said, well, okay, well, I'm going to just sit it in the garage for now, you know. So, look. And so she tried to call him back in, ma'am, we don't know about this extra bike and why it showed up at your house. So she's like, well, okay. I just want to make sure, because y'all won't come after me later for another $1,000. I'm trying to give you this bike, ma'am. There's nowhere recorded on the record. I said, well, you know, we don't, ma'am. No, we don't. We don't know where the bike came from. She said, well, okay. She got one in her bedroom. She got one downstairs in her garage for her little gym or whatever that she's setting up. She called me the next day. She said, Pam. I said, what? Another bike that showed up at my house. I said, wait, the third. She said, no, I got 4 Echelon bikes in my house. They don't know where the bike. I was like, you know what, Alicia? That's the most holy dropping gifts. Go ahead and someone over here. Make sure Sherry get a bike. You who are like, Mama got a bike. You got a bike. You get a bike. And you get a bike. Drop them gifts on the drop them. I got an Echelon bike sitting in my living room. Blessed be the most holy. I ain't opened it yet, for real, because I'm like, Father, thank you. But just in case they come back, I still don't want to open it yet, because although she done called, and they said, man, we have no record of these extra bikes being sent to you. But just in case somebody's like, oh, our system was glitched. I'm like, Father, I believe you, but I still ain't set it up. Alicia's still in the box, sitting in there. But I just want to tell y'all, if y'all pay attention, Yahuwah is doing stuff. I got so many of these stories coming just from my family, my mom, my sisters, of what's happening to us. Even my mom, about it. I don't want to say it out loud because I don't know if she told anybody. Okay. Guys, this is getting so exciting watching this stuff. Okay, let me finish this. Okay, I only got like a little bit of this paragraph left. But I get so excited about this in these times we live in. I'm like, hallelujah. Oh, it's about to happen. It's really about to happen. Look. Okay. The answer that he received from Yahuwah was as follows. The daughters of Zelophehad have the law on their side, for what they desire is in accordance with the law that was written in heaven by me. Give them therefore their father's inheritance, and also 2 parts of their grandfather Heifer's possession. For their father Zelophehad was his firstborn, and was therefore entitled to a double share. The daughters of Zelophehad, who in spite of their years, the youngest of them had attained 40, had not yet been married, now entered into wedlock, and according to Yahuwah's bidding that Moses communicated to them, they married their uncle's sons, although they were free to marry whomsoever they chose. Yahuwah works good through the good, and evil through the evil. The chapter of the laws of Yahuwah that was published by Moses as an addition to the incident of Zelophehad's daughters would have been given without them also, but Yahuwah rewarded these women for their piety by making them the direct occasion of this chapter of the law. At the same time, this case of the women was to teach several lessons to Moses. He who, since he had been made Yahuwah's messenger to the people, had lived apart from his wife, was not to grow too conceited on the account of the sacrifice he had made to his sacred calling. Hence, in the last year of his life, he therefore appeared before him. Hence, in the last year of his life, there appeared before him the daughters of Zelophehad, who of their own accord had not married, because they had not found mates that they considered suitable. Then, too, Moses could not answer the legal question that the daughters of Zelophehad had presented to them, and had to ask Yahuwah's counsel, which was a second lesson to Moses. The appointment of the elders, Moses earnestly told them, the cause is that too hard for ye, bring to me, and I will hear it. And in punishment of these boastful words, Yahuwah so brought it to pass that he could give no answer to the request of the women, whereupon Yahuwah said to him, This not thou say, the cause is too hard for ye, bring it to me. And now thou canst not properly settle this legal question of the women. A similar punishment for a similar offense was visited upon David, who, well aware of his erudition, said, The laws of the Torah do I grasp as easily as the laws of the Torah do I grasp as easily, as quickly as songs. Then Yahuwah said, As truly as thou livest, thou shalt hereafter forget a biblical law that even the school children know. So too it came to pass that when he had the holy ark fetched from Gibeah to Zion, he forgot the I knew that, because when I read this, I'm like, I know David had to know that lesson. Listen, the whole thing with Uzzah reaching out, touching it, David had to know the wrong people was carrying the ark. Listen, hold on. So too it came to pass that when he had the holy ark fetched from Gibeah to Zion, he forgot the biblical instruction that the ark may be carried only upon the shoulder, and it had lifted it upon a wagon. Then occurred the miracle that the ark leaped of itself into the air, whereas the oxen that pulled the wagon fell down, whereupon Uzzah, to whom the transportation of the ark had been entrusted, stretched out his hand to prevent the ark from falling, and himself fell dead upon the ground. For a sin that is committed is ignorance of the For a sin that is committed is ignorance of the law, is accounted as it had been intentional. Okay, a sin that is committed against the law in ignorance is punished as if it were an intentional sin. Uzzah should have been mindful of the law that the ark was not to be lifted upon the ark, hence his punishment. Yahuwah thereupon said to David, Didst thou not say, Thy statutes have been my songs, and thou hast not even mastered the words of the Bible? Unto the sons of Kohath he gave none, because the service of the sanctuary belongeth unto them, they bear it upon their shoulders. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. And I know it was really long. We had an hour and 28 minutes. Forgive me, but I think the stories that come to me while I'm reading, I feel like I need to share them because it gives us a visual and it makes the words of the page come to life in our modern day. Things that we can relate to. Like, we can relate to this, but sometimes people find it hard to relate to some of the stories simply because how it's worded sometimes. And those of us that understand that can take that same principle from that story and convey it to others, it makes it come alive all the more, right? All right, y'all. So I hope y'all enjoyed the reading for today. We read Joshua 7, 8, and 9. And we read Legends of the Jews starting at page 361 all the way to page 362. So let's go ahead and hear them do the blessing so I can let you guys get about y'all day. And I notice some of you guys have stayed here a little bit longer. Blessed be the most holy. May Yahuwah bless you. I hope y'all not still in time for work. Okay, so let's do the blessing real quick. Remember, it's always recorded. If y'all got to go to work, right? I'm going to call you back real quick. Okay, let's go ahead and do the blessing. Okay. And Yahuwah spake to Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah bless us and keep us. Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Whose name? Yahuwah's name. And who then will bless us? Yahuwah will bless us. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me today while I stand my post. And I'll see y'all bright and early in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check the here real quick. Okay. Oh, okay. Trina said something earlier when I was talking about the guy with the sea bag. Trina, that's right. Right, you know, and I wouldn't even think about that. That's why, like, veterans, they have the VA, but you can get a sea bag from the Goodwill. Like, Trina, I'm so ignorant. Ignorant, right? Okay. All right, Yahuwah said, My people must be full of truth and the spirit. I was full of the spirit, but full of ignorance, too. And that is not a good mix for us. Yahuwah said truth and spirit. Like, we got to add some of that truth on top of our spirit. Make sure we don't get carried off, right? Because if we just full of spirit, we don't know if it's the spirit of the most holy and all that comes from him, or if it's another spirit. We have to be able to balance that with the truth of what Yahuwah has given. And that's what a lot of people are lacking. They're not balancing that spirit with the truth of what Yahuwah said, and hence we get rogue prophets, rogue visionaries, rogue dreamers, rogue all the apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, preachers, evangelists. They become full of spirit and full of ignorance, salt and vinegar, right? And Yahuwah said, blah. It's disgusting. I do not accept it. My people perish for the lack of knowledge. And because you rejected knowledge, I reject you and your children too. Yeah, you doing all that bless. Falling out, catching the spirit. Get up. Get off the floor. Get up. I ain't even said that. Get up. Right? People play on your emotions and they use the music and good stuff. I'm telling you. If y'all don't know how to control this and temper this and these emotions with truth, you will find yourself 6 feet in the dirt somewhere before your time. Okay. Check real quick. Go back. You're welcome, Crystal. She said, thank you for reading the word. Yeah, Mom. You're welcome, Aliyah. Crystal's comment had me. I read it early. If you ignorant, I'm hollering. Yes, Aliyah. Okay. Hallelujah. That's happening here in Egypt in the Sinai. The property is... that was the story. I got another story real quick. Hold on. Look, Aliyah said, hallelujah. That's happening here in Egypt in the Sinai. The property is crazy low. It's just the beginning of the blessings for Yahuwah's people. Yes. You can always enjoy your stories, even if I've heard them before. Thanks, Mom. Look, but Aliyah, look. I was up last night, and I began to notice, like, The prices now, the prices are crazy high. And if you gotta go, guys, please go to work. Just come back and pick this up, right? So the prices are like crazy high in Virginia. But because we're looking to invest in property now, and we're looking like, wait a minute, we know what time it is. So let's really pay attention to some stuff, right? So I'm starting to look at places where we wouldn't normally look before, but I'm seeing prices kind of drop, and people just kind of like giving up their homes because they're upside down on their mortgages. But there is a way to acquire these homes without paying all this crazy money. I'm gonna give you an example, right? And y'all just go look into this if you interested in it. Yahuwah will bless you. He'll lead and guide you. Look, all the wealth of Egypt, for however long this second Egypt America, for however long we're here, we're gonna use it, right? They was using all they made the slaves build these beautiful homes with these beautiful pools and stuff, and they couldn't even use it because they were so infested with boils and everything. And what we're reading here, as we're getting deeper details of what was happening with each plague, that the Egyptians couldn't use these things, right? All the things that they had their slaves to build, the slaves were now walking in and using them free of will, out of free will and free of charge, right? You would say, go ahead in there. They wouldn't let y'all clean yourself like that. Go enjoy everything. They can't even enjoy it. Go ahead, take all the stuff. Go ahead. You built it anyway. Go ahead. Yep, enjoy that. Go ahead. You enjoy it. As long as we're here till I pull you out, y'all gonna be okay. Just like with the days of darkness, Goshen had light among them. So when it gets dark here, whether there's a physical darkness or a deep, deep spiritual darkness, Goshen will have its light. Wherever we are at, scattered across the world to the four corners of Goshen, we will have our light. We will have the celestial light. And while everything is going dark, pay attention to some of these stocks. Bitcoin was at its highest last week at $57,000 per Bitcoin. It is dropping like ain't nobody's business. I said, I wish. And I'm just watching the different ones and stuff. It has dropped. When I checked it yesterday, I think it was down over $10,000. It's keep dropping. $45,000. Bitcoin started out as like $1 stock. What? Oh, we know what time it is. Y'all losing y'all stuff. Y'all losing y'all mind. And we spying out with the celestial light. Your riches. We know what that's at. That's sitting in your kitchen in that second cabinet to the left behind that bread bowl your mama gave you that you cooked dinner in last night. Right up under there, behind there, you got a little trap door right there. Right in there. That's what I want. That little diamond. That's what I want. And they was like, how did you get that information? Because the celestial light. Leisha. Aunt Gay said, she said, we'll take the extra bite. She on YouTube though. But things like that, you watch, I'm telling y'all, pay attention. Ask Yahuwah to open your eyes to the riches of Egypt that are being freed up around you, that are free for the taking, and that you can go and take, right? I'm telling y'all, look, Yahuwah got it open for us. Y'all better take advantage of it, So, but there's another story real quick. This is gonna be it. I promise it's gonna be it. Y'all probably heard about it. Black guy recently in Texas. There was a house that went into foreclosure by a bank. Oh yeah, he right here. Uncle Snooky just said it too. At least if you still here. Okay, said she needs one of them bikes. Look, so the house went into foreclosure. It was repossessed. The house was repossessed by a bank. It was in this very affluent Caucasian white neighborhood, right? The house was over $500,000, right? So this black guy, and I'm not sure if he's Israel, but it seemed to me that he got a little bit of a celestial light going on. I said, shut your mouth. I said, I ain't never thought about doing this, but I'm sure looking. I'm looking here in Virginia. Here's what happened. There was the bank that foreclosed and repossessed this house from this couple that had been here, that purchased this house, this $500,000 house. Black man had been looking into it for a few months because he wanted to start getting into real estate. He didn't really have that much, but he wanted to start somewhere. So he started arming himself with information. How do you go about getting these foreclosures? How much you have to put down? You have to just pay the taxes. He learned all that in a matter, he said, about 3 months. And then he noticed something about properties he was looking at. He began to notice something, and it was a particular house that he went and looked at. He saw something, and what he saw was that the bank that had title to this particular house, he knew that bank had went out of business. So the bank who repoed this $500,000 house was no longer in business. He went and verified this, right? Went down to the city treasurer's office, pulled it up on public record, because any real estate, it's in a public record. You can find it. The information is there, and it's for the public. Go pull some of this stuff up. Start looking at some of this stuff, right? Pulled it up. Sure enough, sitting there in the county records, the bank has gone out of business, and there is a law on the books that says if something like this were to ever happen, the person who acquires this, all he did, he went in there, he got the what did he wrote? He wrote out something. He had it notarized, had it signed, and paid $16 to have it filed with the state. Pretty much saying, I'm gonna be taking over this house, right? It was a simple form. I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna post it here in the comment section today, right? I forget what it was called, but anyway, he did that. And what he did, he went to this house in this all white neighborhood, and he set up a abode there. He didn't move all his stuff in. He just got a couple things, and he slept there, right? He got a chair he put in there. He got a little bit of food. He got a TV, and he got his little laptop, and he in there because he understands the law, and so he has to start the process, right? So the people was like, oh, well, what are you doing here? You trespass? He said, no, this is my house. I'm taking up residence here. And in Texas, with the law, you were in place for like 30 days or more, whatever. Now, yeah, squatter's law, but they call it something else, right? There's another, but it is squatter's law, but they call it something else. I forget what it is. But anyway, he decided to use that law, which is a law on the books, just about every place in America. I'm telling you, the pen. They say the pen is mightier than a sword. At least we heard that when we were in school, you about to get in trouble. The teacher about to write you a detention slip. The pen is mighty. What you say? Huh? What you say? And everybody like, no, Miss. No, Miss Johnson. No, please don't write. You know, the pen is mightier than a sword. Our people better catch a clue. Just like they have tried to destroy and remove everything from us with paper and the pen, you better let Yahuwah drip some of that celestial light on you. Learn a little bit about this and go take back some of this property. Yeah, it's a legal term for it, and that's what he did. He played the game by their rules. Paid $16 for this $500,000 home. It's over $500,000. $16 just to lodge this piece of paper and file it with the county state. Nobody can touch him. The neighbors, they're pissed. This black man is living in this neighborhood. He done broke in. They called the police on him. Of course, he's smart. He keep his paperwork and copy of everything he filed. And with the law, he had it right there. So when the cops came to the door, he said, sir, this is what I'm doing. And when they came, matter of fact, it was ABC News that followed the cops that came. Matter of fact, the cops, they didn't show the cops, but they heard about it, and ABC News went to the door, and they went and they actually asked them what was going on. Right? Look, they pissed. The neighbors are pissed. And so after they interviewed him, the black guy in the house, they went and interviewed the neighbors. The neighbors are fire hot, pissing mad, right? And they said, he needs to pay for it just like we paid for it. Like, what about all the stuff y'all done stole from us, ain't paid for nothing? Right? So I'm pissed listening to them. I was like, oh, y'all think that? You think this something? Oh, it's just started. And I'm sitting back laughing. I'm like, oh, yes, Father, keep doing it. Even the most ignorant of us, let them catch some wisdom, right? Because you're restoring it, and everything, just let it fall into. And they pissing fire hot mad. They out with pitchforks and everything. They all gathered into a house, and they told ABC News, we paid for it. He needs to pay for it too. They pissed because he only paid $16, and they got mortgages for $500,000, $1 million, and they in debt to the man paying for a house, and he paid $16. You mean to tell me in about 3 months, if the bank can't come uproot him and claim this back, you know what? Because he got the law working on his side. The bank has gone out of business. The deed is not there. And what will happen? And I thank you upon this time now. What will happen if the bank who holds the title deed to this home does not come and uproot him out of that house and take it back? It becomes his free and will. It becomes abandoned property. Y'all better learn some of these terms that they done screwed us with. It becomes abandoned property, and it now becomes his. He can claim it, and they will issue him a new title deed for this $500,000 home that he got for $16 and some wisdom from the most holy. Y'all tell me, Yahuwah don't fight for us. Y'all tell me Yahuwah don't fight for us. I'm telling y'all better start paying attention. Okay, that's the last thing I need to say today. Guys, we got to get out here. Y'all go look into some of this stuff. I'm going to share that link so y'all can go look at it and check out some of this stuff around here. Check out, because I know a couple banks that went out of business around here. Now, I'm not sure what properties they had. I'm like, I told my husband, hey, heck, yeah, we're going to start looking at this. Like, everything they done extracted from our household alone over these years, everything got to come back, right? Man, we got it's so many stories just in this year of 2021, things that have happened for us. I'm just like, what? In a month of January alone, we were able to put $10,000 cash in our savings account. What? There's a job. You know what? This was going to the trash. Y'all can do whatever you want to. You've given it to us free and clear. This furniture is good furniture. You know what? My husband put that up on Facebook Marketplace, left and right. People blowing, bloom. People showing up to the warehouse. That's how money that was stolen from us being returned to us through ways that we never thought would come. Normally, they take furniture. Oh, this will reallocate it here, put it in our storage, do this over here. A lot of times, things that they say is trash is truly trash, and I wouldn't give it to a bum on the street. But this time, they said, look, this. You know what? Trash it all. We ain't got no use for it. We ain't got no place to put it. Throw it away. They said, well, what if we keep? He said, we don't care what you do with it. You taking it out of here, we sign off for it. You do what you want. You can dispose of it. You can keep it. You can give it away. Whatever you want. You can sell it. We don't care. Just take it away from here. We got all our new furniture. And you know what we did? Yahuwah Wisdom. Put it up on Facebook Marketplace. All this office furniture. The month of January alone. $10,000 cash in our savings account. Right? We use that cash to replenish our own house. We're like, Father, you better not nobody come in here and get in my face talking about Jesus. Nothing. It's Yahuwah all day, every day. Yahuwah alone. All right, y'all. But that's it. I'm out of here. Peace.